Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about some gold companies I currently really like. And the first company on this list will be Borealis Mining Company. We have mentioned this before. The thing is, this year it's had a little bit of a beating. So it's almost at the same level as when we mentioned it at 77 Canadian. I think it's like $1 now, but it was like almost at $2 earlier this year. It's currently producing. It has an historic resource at the Borealis project. They have like two projects of note, Borealis and the Salmon project. But the main project is Borealis, and it has in historical measured and indicated resource at 1.8 million ounces of gold at 1.2 grams per ton. Currently producing gold and silver, and as you can see there, the Sandman project has about like 433,000 ounces of gold in indicated. This is from like 2021, and apparently they are exploring. I obviously think it's very nice because it has most of the infrastructure already in place. They are producing. I think this company has tremendous potential. The fact that it has most of the infrastructure, and it has some very interesting shareholders, as you can see there. 36% of the shares are owned by institutions, 9% by Eric Sprott, and 12% by McEwen. McEwen and Eric Sprott are like the part of like the legends, like from Rick Rule and these things. The company, like, it has no debt as of January, and it has some cash on hand, and it has like a decent resource, and it has some tremendous potential to like explore for more. And apparently the Sandman project wasn't really requiring too high of an investment, apparently, when they have all the permits and these things. So in the future they could perhaps not have to invest too much to get Sandman up and running. It is a little bit of a distance though, as you can see there, from Borealis there to like the Salmon project, but apparently it wouldn't be that much of a cost. And going for the second one is Gunnison Copper. Now, why on earth this is interesting? It's in America. It has a huge resource of copper. Obviously they have two projects. This is the Gunnison deposit. You want to read about it? The thing that is currently producing is a Johnson Cap, which has apparently in indicated they have about 467 million pounds of copper. This is the Q1 this year results, where they made apparently $20 million. Like, they had produced about like 2.1 million pounds of copper. They're like major projects compared to other like larger copper companies. It had liked about it, it's that it has some very interesting shareholders though. It has like 47% is institutions, 3% is management. So, and obviously with the Gunnison project they would have a 21-year mine life, and they would start production in 2030, 2032-ish. Obviously that's not like this one. This is the Johnson Camp. That's like a much smaller one, but that's currently producing, as you can see there, you see the Q1 results. So I think it's very nice. Copper is increasing in demand, and this is a US exclusive copper company. It's barely moved compared to other copper companies and such, so it seems like it could have some potential. Now let's go with the next one. And the next one is West Red Lake Gold Mines. This is a company we have mentioned before, but it has had a little bit of a correction though. Obviously when we mentioned it, it was like 70 cents, or like in the range between 70 and 80 cents per share. But why on earth this is interesting? It has 1.65 million ounces of gold at 7.4 grams per ton, which is incredibly high compared to other projects we've talked about. Usually it's like 1 or 2 grams per ton, so it's like it has some potential. 2-3 weeks ago, West Red Lake Gold Mines increased the resource of one of the projects, Rowan, by 70%. As you can see there, it now has 334,000 ounces of gold in indicated. So it's like, it's very nice. It seems like the company is moving on. What was not pleasant for the share price is that the Q1 of 2026 they had 6,000 ounces of gold, or like 6,165 ounces of gold sold, but it was at $4,678 per ounce, all in sustaining costs. So we can, so after that report, it had like a little bit of a beating, to say the least. But obviously, from when we mentioned it, it's still profitable though. But I still think this company has tremendous potential. Why? It has most of the infrastructure in place. It has incredibly high grade gold. As you can see that these are like some of the samples from there. Like there's like one drilled result here, where it's almost 400 grams of gold per ton. Like, look at all these. It's like incredibly high, all of these. So it has tremendous potential, and obviously the CEO, after listening to the interview at Rick's channel, where the CEO has experience with like restarting mines and getting it up and going. So I still believe that there is hope, because obviously Shane Williams has been a previous operator at Skena Resources, where he's been a part of other restarts, and he's obviously also been a part of Eldorado Gold, where that project went from PEA to commercial production in 18 months. So he seems to be very experienced. Rick Rule is still invested in West Red Lake Gold Mines, so this is like apparently their plan for the next couple of years, where they are now ramping up commercial production, where they're like between 35 and 45,000 ounces of gold, and obviously they are projecting to like keep updating the resource of Rowan and Madsen, exploring, and apparently by 2028, 2029-ish, projecting that could perhaps have Rowan up and running, gold production. So let's go over to the next one. And the next company is DRYDEN Gold. We have mentioned this a couple of times before, but I still believe it seems very nice. This is obviously like, it's not producing, by the way, so it's high risk. They have some very interesting shareholders, as you can see there. 10% is owned by Alamos Gold, 10% is owned by Centerra, and Sprott Asset Management owns 3%. Eric Sprott privately owns 1.65%, and Rob McEwen, Rob Quartermain. So basically, more like a significant part of like these mining legends that Rick Rule has mentioned are invested in this company. I don't know the specific price. Obviously, they entered, so you know, have that as a mental note. That one does not know what specific prices they were buying it at. The president has 15 years of experience in mining and exploration, or has like exploration background where she's brought projects into commercial production, where she spent 8 years in the Red Lake camp with Goldcorp, Newmont. I have one sample that has 3,497 grams of gold over 8 meters, including a sample of 53,700 grams of gold. Listen to that again. 53,700 grams of gold per ton over like 1.55 meters. Like, that's the highest grade result, or like drill result I've seen of any companies I've researched, like of hundreds. So it has incredible potential, in my opinion, and most noteworthy mining legends. And obviously they're launching a major exploration program. This was 3 days ago. And as you can see, they have some of more drill results. Imagine if they can find like between 2 and like 10 million ounces of gold. Imagine how nice that would be if they could find like a humongous resource. But who knows what the future holds. Let's go over to the final company on the list. The next one is Greenland Mines LTD. Like, it has about 2.7 million ounces of gold in indicated, about 4.1 in inferred, and it has about, in palladium, they have 8 million ounces of palladium in indicated, and 9.1 million ounces of palladium in inferred, and they have about like 600,000 ounces of platinum. So they have like 2 projects. One is the Skarsgård, which is the one we just mentioned, which has gold, palladium, platinum, vanadium, gallium, germanium, titanium, and iron. But they also have another project called Sarachtu, very interesting name, which has rare earths, NdPr, and these things. And it has about like, obviously the main project, or the main thing of this we're mentioning it, is the Skarsgård, which is the major resource. And here you can see in more detail, if you want to read it, this is like the inferred. Pause it there if you want to read it or screenshot it. But what is also interesting is that not too long ago, they have a Western mine to magnet partner secured with Neo Performance Materials, which is another company we mentioned in 2025, like summer, autumn-ish. So apparently they have a partnership with Neo Performance Materials, which is in Europe. It's a Canadian company in Europe that is producing rare earth magnets, or where this company apparently holds the right to supply up to 60% of the concentrate to Neo Performance Materials. So this is my list of companies that are in the gold and in the critical minerals sector that I found very interesting right now, that has had a correction since the war in Iran. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.